Picture a room filled with light, not the harsh light of a screen, the warm, breathing light of oil lamps, dozens of them, casting gold across shelves that stretch from floor to ceiling, stacked with manuscripts in Arabic, Persian, Greek, and Sanskrit. Outside, the streets hum with the noise of a city of 1 million people, one of the largest cities in the world. The year is somewhere around 830 CE. The place is Baghdad, and the building you are standing in is called Bayt al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom. Here, scholars translate ancient Greek texts into Arabic. Mathematicians work problems that Europe will not encounter for another 300 years. Physicians write medical encyclopedias that will be used in European universities until the 1600s. Astronomers map the heavens with instruments of breathtaking precision. This is not a footnote in history. This is the story of how human knowledge survived, grew, and was passed forward, and most people were never told it. To understand the Islamic Golden Age, you need to understand what the world looked like before it. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed in the 5th century, it took a great deal of classical knowledge with it. Libraries burned, trade routes collapsed. The institutional structures that had preserved Greek philosophy, Roman medicine, and ancient mathematics simply disappeared across much of Europe. But in the East, something different was happening. The early Islamic world was expanding rapidly, not just militarily, but intellectually. The Umayyad Caliphate gave way to the Abbasid Caliphate in 750 CE. The Abbasids moved the capital to Baghdad and made a deliberate, extraordinary decision. They would collect the knowledge of every civilization they encountered: Greek, Persian, Indian, Egyptian, translate it into Arabic, study it, and build on it. This was not accidental. It was policy. Caliph Harun al-Rashid and later his son al-Ma'mun funded translation projects on a scale the ancient world had rarely seen. Scholars were paid in gold equivalent to the weight of the books they translated. Knowledge was treated as treasure. But there was another reason this pursuit of knowledge took root so deeply. For many Muslims, learning was not merely practical or political, it was spiritual. The Quran repeatedly calls believers to reflect, observe, and seek understanding. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, encouraged the pursuit of knowledge, and generations of scholars came to see intellectual inquiry as a way of appreciating the signs of God in creation. In this worldview, studying mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy was not separate from faith. It could be an expression of it. That decision changed the world. Here is what most people never realize. Many of the foundational tools of modern science and medicine trace directly back to Islamic scholars of this period. Take mathematics. A Persian scholar named Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi wrote a book in the 9th century that introduced a systematic method for solving equations. The Latin translation of his name gave the world the word algorithm. The title of his book, Al-Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, gave the world the word algebra. Every time a student opens a math textbook today, they are working inside a framework that al-Khwarizmi built. Take medicine. Ibn Sina, known in the West as Avicenna, wrote the Canon of Medicine in the early 11th century. It was a comprehensive medical encyclopedia that classified diseases, described clinical trials, and outlined pharmacology in ways that were centuries ahead of European practice. European medical schools used it as a primary textbook until the 1600s. Take optics. Ibn al-Haytham, working in the 11th century, conducted experiments on light, vision, and the behavior of lenses that formed the foundation of modern optics. His book of optics directly influenced Roger Bacon and later Johannes Kepler. He is considered by many historians of science to be the father of the scientific method. Algebra, algorithms, modern medicine, the scientific method. These are not small contributions. These are the load-bearing walls of the modern world. But here is the detail that should stop you cold. Bayt al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, was not an exclusively Muslim institution. At its peak, it housed Muslim, Christian, and Jewish scholars working side by side, translating and debating and building knowledge together. The Caliph funded it. Scholars from across the known world filled it. The criterion for inclusion was not faith. It was intellectual ability. Think about what that represents. At a time when Europe was organizing itself almost entirely around religious homogeneity, among the most advanced civilizations of its age, was operating a pluralist research institution in the middle of its capital city, and producing knowledge that would eventually lift the entire world. If this is helping you see something you have never seen this clearly before, take a moment to subscribe and share this with someone who needs it. That is genuinely how more people find this content. Thank you. Then came 1258. The Mongol army under Hulagu Khan reached Baghdad in February of that year. What followed was one of the most devastating events in the history of human civilization. The city was sacked, the population was massacred, and the libraries of Bayt al-Hikmah, centuries of accumulated manuscripts, translations, and original scholarship, were thrown into the Tigris River. It is said that the river ran black with ink for days. The Islamic Golden Age did not end gradually. It ended in a catastrophe. Centuries of knowledge, institutional memory, and intellectual infrastructure destroyed in weeks. The House of Wisdom never recovered. Baghdad never recovered to what it had been. The center of world intellectual life shifted, and it shifted westward, carrying with it the Arabic texts that European scholars had been quietly translating for generations. And here is what most Western history classes never teach: the European Renaissance, that flowering of science, philosophy, and art that began in the 14th and 15th centuries and is credited with launching the modern world, did not emerge from a vacuum. It emerged largely from the contact with Islamic scholarship. When European scholars encountered Arabic translations of Aristotle, they were encountering texts that Islamic scholars had not merely preserved, but annotated, debated, corrected, and extended. When European physicians began reforming medicine in the 16th century, they were reforming a tradition that Ibn Sina had already advanced by 500 years. When European astronomers began questioning the Ptolemaic model of the universe, they were building on Islamic astronomical data that had been accumulating for centuries. The line between the ancient Greek world and the modern Western world does not run through an unbroken European tradition. It runs directly through the Islamic Golden Age. That is not an opinion. That is what the historical record shows. There was a room filled with light in Baghdad. Scholars who disagreed on theology agreed on the importance of knowledge. A civilization at its peak chose to collect, preserve, and build, not just to conquer. The words they coined are still in our textbooks. The methods they developed are still in our laboratories. The knowledge they saved from the ancient world is still in our libraries. You were not taught this, but now you know it. And knowing it changes how you see both the history of Islam and the history of the world. If this is helping you see something you have never seen this clearly before, take a moment to subscribe and share this with someone who needs it. That is genuinely how more people find this content. Thank you.